Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a demonstration and review on the new Hourglass Stick Foundation. It is the Vanish Seamless Finish Foundation Stick by Hourglass. I've been using this for a few days only. I haven't been using this very long, but I did want to get a review and kind of first impression out to you guys and just kind of demonstrate how I apply the product early because I know that this is a hot product on the market right now and I know you guys are kind of curious to know about it. I actually have to thank Meredith for this video because I think it was her that commented over the weekend for me to please do a review over this. So Meredith, this video is for you. So you get 0.25 ounces for $46. So it's definitely a higher price point when it comes to foundations, but Hourglass is, you know, definitely a high-end luxury brand. The shade range, it has 26 shades in the collection, so it definitely covers the full spectrum of skin tones, which is great. On Sephora's website, it's described as this: a long-range foundation stick with the coverage of a concealer, so full coverage, fluid of a liquid, and weightlessness of a powder for invisible coverage. It says it's a foundation and concealer in one. Okay, that I missed. I didn't know that. So I've actually been wearing it as a foundation. I've been wearing a concealer with it. Vanish Foundation's concentrated formula is infused with double the amount of pigment versus traditional foundations for instant full coverage in one application. That reminds me of the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation, which has, I think it's 3 times the pigment. And with that foundation, I learned that a little bit goes a long way. When I first got that foundation, I was applying as much as I would apply with a regular foundation, and it was way too heavy. So that's probably what you're going to find with this foundation as well. If you apply it in the amount that you would normally apply a stick foundation, you'll probably think it's too heavy because it has double the pigment. The long-wearing waterproof formula provides 12-hour coverage, and the innovative formula adjusts to your body temperature to effortlessly blend into the skin. Encased in a unique triangular bullet for precise application along the contours of the face. It can be used to contour and highlight, and it features an array of shades, and it's designed specifically to be used with the Vanish foundation brush for the most seamless finish. I didn't get the brush. I don't believe all of that. I feel like if a foundation is specifically designed to go with the brush, I just feel like, I don't know about that. So before I start this, I do want to say that I feel like this week was probably not the best week to try a new foundation because I didn't get a burn, but my skin was pretty tanned in Mexico, so I noticed the texture of my skin was different this week. It was drier. I noticed it was kind of like peeling in a few places. So I did notice the first time I applied this foundation, I didn't really like the way that it wore, but I really think it was the texture of my skin. It wasn't allowing the product to really set or absorb the product. My skin was just, it was almost like it was just kind of sitting on top. The next day that I applied it, I liked it a little bit better, but I did use a primer that day. Today, I'm not going to use a primer. I'm just going to apply it on bare skin. I did moisturize about an hour ago, but I want you guys to see the coverage of this foundation, the finish of it, and just the way that it looks without any help, okay? So let's start with that first. The shade that I got is Nude, and I think it might actually be a little bit dark for me. Like I said, I'm really dark from Mexico, so when I was trying these on, this just seemed like the best shade, but it is quite a bit darker than my other foundations. So the packaging is really, really nice. It comes in this triangular bullet. It's a really pretty, it says Hourglass on the outer side, you know, on the outer casing. Really, really nice. It's nicely shaped. It's not big and bulky. It would be easy to pack and travel with. Okay, so let's do one side and compare. So I'm actually going to try this as concealer because I have been using a concealer with it. Yeah, see, this is really dark. Like, this matches my body, but I know that once I lose this tan, it's going to be probably a little too dark for me. So this is actually kind of a lot. I think because it has double the pigment, I probably could ease up on this, but I'm going to just blend this out and see what we think. So my first impression of this foundation is it gives really, really great coverage. I mean, you can see it is pretty easily covering all the discoloration in my skin and blemishes in my skin. It's really nice as a concealer too. When I get a stick foundation, the first thing I do is compare it to my Lancome stick foundation because that's my absolute favorite, right? I have yet to find a stick foundation that compares to that. I really feel like that foundation stick is my all-time favorite. This foundation really reminds me of a mix between the Lancome stick foundation and the Make It Forever stick foundation, which those two are completely, totally different. This kind of feels like something in between those two. Okay, so I really, really like the coverage of this. I mean, you can tell immediately the difference between this side of my face and this side of my face with nothing on. It looks really, really nice. I like the way the light is reflecting off of it. It just gives the, like, a flawless, perfect skin look. It does feel very, very weightless. It doesn't feel as weightless as the Lancome foundation. That foundation almost feels like a super lightweight whipped stick, if that makes sense. This has a little bit thicker of a consistency, but it doesn't feel thick on the skin. The Makeup Forever stick to me feels a lot heavier, but I still love the way that it looks. Makeup Forever wouldn't really be an everyday foundation for me though, just because it is heavier. I could see this being an everyday foundation. So that's one pretty generous application of the product. I do really like the coverage of it. I do like the finish. So far it has a very natural finish, so it's not super matte and dry looking, but it's not, doesn't have any dewiness or any glow to it. It does have a heavy look to me. Like I do feel like it looks like I have a lot of makeup on, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you are going for more of a really natural looking foundation, I wouldn't say this is heavy, but I would say that there are other options for you. This does have a kind of more of a made up look to me, in my opinion. Okay, but let's try to apply it on the other side. So I'm gonna apply a little bit less this time. I felt like last time I applied quite a bit. Let's try and apply less and see how it blends. The thing about foundations that have twice the pigment or 3 times the pigment of traditional foundations, you have to be careful that you don't apply too much, right? Because that looks heavy. But at the same time, you want to make sure that it spreads out, because if you apply very little and it doesn't spread, then you're gonna have like a lot of coverage in these little areas, but you're gonna have areas of the face that are not evenly covered. Does that make sense? It does spread pretty nicely. Like, I don't think that I covered my face really well with that application in this stick, but I feel like the product really blended out and gave a good even coverage. It doesn't look splotchy in any areas. I do like the way that this side looks versus this side. It looks more natural. However, I can still see my skin through this. This definitely has more coverage than this side. So I'm gonna put a little bit under my eyes for concealer because I did not do that. This is a great concealer. I have to say it does give great coverage for concealer, like it holds on its own. Whenever I see foundations that are concealer and foundation in one, sometimes I'm a little skeptical about it because, you know, with concealer I like a lot of coverage, but I don't want anything too heavy. This is really nice. Like, I would use this as a concealer on its own. It's nice. I like this brush with it too. This is the Giorgio Armani foundation brush. I don't know if they still sell this. This is very old. Okay, so let's recap the foundation. So coverage is pretty good. It's definitely more of a full coverage foundation. Finish is, I would actually describe this as like a velvety matte finish foundation. It's not matte in the sense that it looks like you've set it with a powder. There's absolutely no like dewiness or glowiness to it initially. If you have oily skin, of course, that will probably transpire throughout the day. But initially it has just a very velvety matte finish. So it's weightless. It's described as weightless. I feel like it does have a kind of makeup or made up look. I wouldn't say that it's like heavy looking on the skin, but it definitely is not a natural looking foundation. It feels nice. It doesn't feel heavy at all. I would give this foundation a good thumbs up. I don't know that it's something that I would repurchase, especially for the price. $46 is a lot for a foundation, and I don't think this really compares to my Lancome stick foundation that I absolutely love. I think between the Makeup Forever stick foundation and the Lancome stick foundation, which are 2 stick foundations that I reviewed on my channel that I both like, I feel like this falls between the two. The Makeup Forever is full coverage. It's thicker in consistency. It looks heavy. It has a little bit more of a kind of dewy or supple finish. This is more weightless than the Makeup Forever stick foundation. It gives just as much coverage, but it doesn't feel as heavy as that. And then the Lancome stick foundation is super lightweight. It looks more natural on the skin, but it still gives really great coverage. So, and I feel like that foundation is more long wearing than this foundation. But it's a pretty foundation. So if you don't own any stick foundations and you really like Hourglass and you like the nice luxurious packaging that this has, which it is really pretty, then go for it. If you have other stick foundations, I don't necessarily feel like this is a must-have, but that's my first impression. So if I change my opinion, which I'm allowed to do, I will be sure and let you guys know. But this is just my first impression from using it for a couple of days. I would give this foundation, I guess, 4 out of 5 stars. It's a good foundation, but I just don't know that it's necessarily worth the price tag. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.
Hey, don't you think I can see that you've been looking at me, that you've been staring at me?